You know, my parents really enjoyed different forms of art, and so when we were growing up, they would just have a bunch of different avenues available for us to practice with. My uncle and my grandma would also ask whenever we visited to see what I'd been drawing. That was really, I think, the very beginning for me. When I was younger, it was always horses. I loved horses. I love that kind of thing. Now, honestly, anything old, dilapidated, when it has very striking lines, I love ships. But for me, it really is the value if something has a lot of value to it. With contrast between the dark and the light is what I'm talking about. I love drawing that. My favorite medium is usually ink with watercolor. I have been practicing oil lately, so I would say both oil and then the ink and watercolor. For me, it was always drawing, and definitely the ink was a part of it. Not much colored pencil. I didn't really enjoy that. One time, I was with my grandma again, and she was teaching my young nephew to paint with watercolor. And I was just joining along, and one of my relatives saw that I was doing that and bought me my first watercolor set. So that's really what I started with me in high school, was the watercoloring, and then the ink, and then oil was just the last couple of years, maybe 4 years or so I've been doing it. Always wanted to try. Watercolor, you're trying to protect the whites, and then when you're inking, you can just bring out the value that you want. Ink, of course, is permanent, so you're thinking about it that way. When you're approaching an oil painting, it's much different. If you don't very carefully choose what colors you're going to be using and where you're placing them, you can muddy it so fast. That was one of the more difficult things for me to understand. I've been starting to put down my darks as well first, which is very, very different as well, different thought process. So just different things. I love, again, like I said, old dilapidated things. People will pass me old glass windows are my favorite. And then I will usually do an ink wash. So that'll allow me to just have some fun. It does feel a lot like watercolor, the freedom that you're able to express. Then over the top, I have been practicing with little enamel paints, and then what we would call a paint pen with almost a needle tip. And so then you can draw, and that actually has a texture to it. So this is one of my favorite pieces, and then I will spray it with basically a glass protectant, so then everything will stay nice how you want it. This was a picture off the internet that was free and allowed to be painted. From what I understand, it is the Royal Guard, though. Yeah. And then this is an oil. Again, just practicing. I love storms. I love the dark sky, those different colors. This one actually has sold, and I'm so glad it has sold. So thank you for whoever purchased it. But this is one of my favorite just ways to paint, with making sure that I have a dark, stormy sky. This is very familiar to me. I do a lot of these. This was something I wanted to try, something new. My husband loves realism, and I wanted to try my hand at it. And when you talk about water droplets, and we talk about Iowa and the wild roses that we have here, this was a spring, this little, what we would call maybe just this exhibit was a spring exhibit. So a wild rose in spring is just, quintessential to Iowa. So I was trying my realism here with watercolor. No ink on these ones. A lot of my own photographs. In fact, I kind of drive my family nuts, I think, now. Yeah, because then I don't have to ask permission or find, but I do still appreciate when artists will, or photographers will put their stuff out there. Yeah, definitely that. And then I find usually one or two of my photographs will really inspire me, and I'll end up painting that one a couple of times, usually in a couple different mediums. YouTube, for me personally, has been one of the greater areas of growth. You can find the style that you're going for. I don't, off the top of my head, there's a couple different channels that I'll follow, but I really appreciate especially the oil advice. And then when we're talking about watercolor, Joseph Zbuvovich is honestly the best watercolorist in the world. I love watching him. And you can find some of his stuff online too. And then I think too, an understanding of you're going to fail before you succeed. And putting that into perspective. Don't stress yourself out. I've had to learn that erasing is okay. I'm not making a masterpiece the first time I try it. That's hard for me because I always want to make a masterpiece and you want to spend your time doing, but every second you spend practicing isn't wasted. So those are my two, I think, yeah. And then just enjoy it, yeah. I have some of my stuff also at a little gallery in Archer, Iowa called the Blue Monkey Gallery. This is my first year at any gallery, and so I'm slowly, just increasing where I have my stuff, but that is the main, yeah. And if you'd like to get a hold of me, I do have my cards at both galleries. I'm just thankful to God for the chance to do it. I'm thankful to my family, I guess, for giving me and then my husband, I show him everything, but thank you for the opportunity.